Thank you. Thank you all for your patience. Welcome to the special meeting of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista, Tuesday, May 26th, 2026. It is 5:55. Pledge of Allegiance. Mayor Pro Tem Sabathia. Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aranda, Councilmember Frios,
Here.
Councilmember Morris Lopez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sabathia,
Here.
Mayor Jordan.
Here. A moment of business. Councilmember Friels is attending via teleconference pursuant to AB 2449. And the majority of members must be present in chambers. Let it be known that Councilmember Aranda arrived at 5:57. Councilmember Friels would like to attend the meeting remotely under AB 2449 for just cause. Councilmember Friels, you must disclose the reason and state whether there are any over the age of 18 in the room with you.
Okay, I came down with a pretty nasty stomach flu that's most likely contagious. I didn't want to spread it. It's terrible. And nobody in the room at 19 Via Sarah. There's nobody in the room at all.
Is it the will of the council to allow Councilmember Friels to join remotely?
Yep. Thank you for not infecting us. I move that you are allowed to stay home and not infect us.
I'll second.
Thank you. May I have a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Sabathia to and seconded by Councilmember Aranda. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aranda,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sabathia,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Friels, for not attending in person. The closed session was canceled due to lack of quorum, so there is nothing for the city attorney to report out. Public comment. Public comments are limited to items only on the special meeting agenda pursuant to California Government Code Section 54954.3B. If you wish to make a public comment on an item that is on the agenda, please wait for that item to be called. It was asked that this council entertain switching items A and B, but respectfully, I would like to decline that. There is a process to this, and it will be known to everybody as soon as the meeting starts. Thank you. Getting right into things. Study session, proposed draft budget and capital improvement plan for fiscal year 2027. City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, and our lovely residents in the audience. Welcome. Give us a minute to pull up the presentation.
And before you start, if we can please move the screen where we can see everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
There it goes. It wants to cooperate. It really does. Okay. So good evening, everyone. Before we begin tonight's discussion, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the amount of work collaboration, and reflection that went in to this budgeting process so far, and then acknowledging that we still have quite a bit of work left to do. I began serving, as most of you know, as interim city manager in January of 2025 and was formally appointed in May of last year under a 3-year agreement. And very early on in my tenure here with the city, it became clear that the organization needed a more comprehensive evaluation of the city's finances, operations, infrastructure obligations, and long-term capacity. That evaluation was necessary because many of the challenges facing the city were not isolated to a single department, project, or fiscal year. Over time, deferred investments, aging infrastructure, rising service costs, outdated fees, limited staffing capacity, and a very small revenue base had collectively created increasing pressure on the organization. And like many small cities, San Juan Bautista continued functioning year to year by making adjustments where possible, delaying certain projects, and relying heavily on consultants and operating within a very narrow financial margin. But it became increasingly clear that continuing to approach issues reactively would only make future decisions more difficult and more expensive. And over the past year and a half, staff has spent a significant amount of time evaluating not only the numbers themselves, but also the underlying causes behind many of the city's ongoing financial and operational challenges. That work included reviewing the organization structure, service delivery, infrastructure needs, public safety costs, development processes, and long-term economic conditions. This presentation tonight is really the culmination of that work, informed by research, operational analysis, discussions with staff, conversations with residents and business owners, and countless late evenings and weekends spent reviewing projects, policies, budgets, and priorities. And one of the most important things we focused on throughout this process was understanding the why behind the city's current conditions, not simply what the numbers are, but how the city arrived here, what challenges continue affecting the organization, and what decisions will face the city moving forward. My approach to city management has always been collaborative and grounded in long-term thinking. This budget reflects not only financial planning, but also the collective efforts of city staff to improve consistency, strengthen accountability, address deferred issues, and position San Juan Bautista for the future, while preserving the character and identity that make this community unique. Tonight's discussion is intended to provide that broader context as we review the fiscal year 26-27 proposed budget and begin discussing the policy considerations and priorities that will shape the city moving forward. Next slide, please. So this quote here reflects the broader theme of tonight's discussion. San Juan is at a point where many decisions regarding infrastructure, service delivery, staffing, and financial planning can no longer be delayed. The purpose of this budget process is not simply balancing revenues and expenditures for one fiscal year. It is about positioning the city to continue maintaining services, infrastructure, and community priorities well into the future. So before discussing individual departments and operational issues, it's important to frame the overall scale and priorities reflected in the fiscal year 26-27 proposed budget. This budget prioritizes infrastructure reliability, public safety, organizational consistency, downtown revitalization, and long-range financial planning. While the city remains financially stable, the budget also reflects the realities of operating with a limited revenue base while managing increasing infrastructure obligations and service costs. The fiscal year proposed budget is focused not only on maintaining services today, but also on preparing the organization for future demands and responsibilities. Next slide, please. This budget is being shaped by several ongoing challenges that continue to affect the city's financial and organizational capacity. These include modest revenue growth, aging infrastructure, increasing public safety costs, workforce recruitment and retention pressures, and the cumulative impact of deferred investments. These are not temporary conditions. They are long-term issues that require deliberate planning, disciplined implementation, and thoughtful policy direction. For many years, the city was able to continue operating by delaying difficult decisions, deferring investments, and relying on limited flexibility within a very small revenue base. The impact of those decisions is becoming increasingly difficult to absorb. Next slide, please. The challenge the city is facing is not a single issue. It is the combined impact of years of deferred decisions, rising costs, aging infrastructure, and a limited revenue growth occurring simultaneously. For a small organization like San Juan, these conditions affect every part of the city, from infrastructure and staffing to public safety and service delivery. Next slide, please. One of the clearest lessons throughout this budget process is that deferred decisions eventually become larger financial and organizational challenges. When infrastructure improvements, fee updates, staffing investments, or maintenance needs are postponed for extended periods of time, the impacts become more difficult and expensive to address. Deferred fees updates increase pressure on the general fund. Deferred maintenance increases future replacement costs. And limited staffing capacity increases consultant dependency and reduces organizational efficiency. This discussion is not really about assigning blame. It's about recognizing the importance of proactive planning and timely investment moving forward. Next slide, please. The city remains heavily reliant on a relatively small number of revenue sources, primarily property tax and sales tax. While revenues have remained relatively stable, growth has not kept pace with the increasing infrastructure obligations, service demands, and operating costs. This creates ongoing financial pressure because the city's margin for absorbing major cost increases remains limited. For a community of this size, even modest increases in public safety, infrastructure, or staffing costs can significantly affect the general fund. Public safety continues to represent the city's largest general fund expenditure category, accounting for nearly 1/3 of all general fund spending. This reflects the growing financial realities associated with emergency response, regional service delivery, and public safety operations. While maintaining reliable public safety services remain a core city priority, these costs also significantly limit discretionary spending within the general fund. As the city moves forward, balancing infrastructure obligations, service demands, and public safety costs will remain one of the council's most important policy discussions. Community development continues to represent one of the city's most significant cost recovery challenges. Fiscal year 26-27 expenditures are projected at approximately $930,000, while anticipated revenues only total about $156,000, resulting in a substantial annual gap. Historically, many development-related fees were not updated regularly, while the actual cost of providing planning, permitting, inspection, engineering, and administrative services continued to increase. As a result, the general fund has increasingly subsidized these activities. Next slide, please. And over the past year, the city has worked to internalize community development functions to improve responsiveness, accountability, and organizational consistency. These include strengthening planning, engineering coordination, building services, and code enforcement oversight internally, rather than relying exclusively on outside consultancy. The goal is not only improving service delivery, but also creating a more efficient organizational structure that allows the city to respond more effectively to development activity, downtown revitalization efforts, and future planning priorities. The fee study and organizational restructuring efforts are intended to improve responsiveness, accountability, and cost recovery over time. Next slide, please. Reliable water infrastructure is essential to San Juan's future reliability and community well-being. The Water Enterprise Fund continues supporting critical infrastructure investments, focusing on protecting the city's long-term water future and reducing pressure on groundwater operations. These investments are foundational to maintaining community stability, supporting economic growth, and protecting reliable service for residents and businesses over the long term. And the sewer force main project represents one of the most significant infrastructure investments in the city's recent history. And in March 2026, the city officially accepted completion of the project, marking a major milestone for wastewater reliability and environmental compliance. This project positions the city for improved long-term performance while reducing future environmental and operational risk. It also demonstrates the city's ability to successfully deliver large-scale infrastructure projects through coordinated planning, grant funding, and disciplined implementation. The cost of standing still. For more than 2 decades, many of the city's fees were either minimally adjusted or not comprehensively updated at all. And during that same period, the cost of providing services continued to increase, including staffing, inspections, technology, compliance requirements, and administrative support. As those costs increase, the gap between the actual cost of service delivery and the fees collected continued to widen, placing additional pressure on the general fund. The purpose of the fee study is not to generate excess revenue. It is to establish a more transparent, predictable, and defensible framework for cost recovery moving forward. And public safety continues to represent one of the city's most significant and fastest growing financial obligations. Fire protection costs continue to increase due to regional service delivery pressures, operational costs, and contractual escalators. And under the current agreement structure, projected fire protection services will exceed $515,000. The city is also evaluating law enforcement deployment and service activity to better understand service demands and financial impacts over time. These discussions are not about reducing the importance of public safety services. They're about ensuring that service delivery models remain aligned with the city's financial capacity and broader infrastructure responsibilities. Maintaining reliable public safety services will require balancing service expectations with available resources. Slide, please. So downtown San Juan Bautista remains central to the city's future economic direction. As the city looks ahead, economic development efforts are increasingly focused on downtown revitalization, tourism activity, special events, and supporting visitor-serving investment opportunities. The goal is to strengthen the city's economic base while preserving the historic character and identity that defines the community. Economic strength and historic preservation are not competing goals. They support one another. Preserving San Juan Bautista's character will ultimately require a healthy local economy capable of supporting infrastructure, services, and long-term community investment. So tonight's discussion is intended to help frame several important policy decisions for the council. These discussions are ultimately about prioritization, long-range planning, service expectations, and balancing community values with financial realities. Future discussions regarding budget balancing strategies, reserve policies, service delivery expectations, and economic development opportunities will continue during the budget adoption process in future council discussions. So we look forward to receiving council feedback and direction as we continue refining the fiscal year 26-27 proposed budget. And with that, I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you for that. First comment, I love that you used Bucky Fuller as your first slide. That was awesome. Councilmember Aranda.
Thank you for the presentation. It kind of highlights where we're positioned. It is concerning. Obviously, this isn't sustainable, and so you know, for me, I think what I'm looking for, just like what you mentioned on your slide, you know, what services should be considered, what would we consider core services that we would need to maintain, and protect first. I think that's very important. If it means cutting things out of our budget or limiting things, for me, it's just kind of understanding what those core services are, and taking care of that first. Um, uh, Other things that I would want to consider or want to know is, are there any programs, contracts, or operational practices that we're using now currently in the city that we can reevaluate and look at, you know, saving some money or getting rid of those contracts or renewing or figuring that out. And then also for me, what infrastructure projects are critical? Like we just mentioned, the fire protection services and the water pipeline. I know those are critical, mission critical projects, but also, you know, where do we stand on that with cost and again, what do we prioritize first? So, um, you know, this is going to be a very hard discussion. But I stand forward with the city of, you know, we have to make these hard decisions so that we don't have this huge deficit, but then also how do we support our community going forward and making sure that we have the right services that are being provided to the city. So that's all the comments I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels.
Thank you for the presentation. It definitely pointed out kind of a dire, straits that we're in. And I'm going to reserve most of my comments till after I can get my hands on the budget and take a look at what's going to happen with it. But thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Morris Lopez.
Yes, thank you for the presentation, but more importantly, thank you for the work behind the presentation. And it's, it's an eye opener sitting here looking at the fact that nothing has been studied since 2005. That's 21 years ago. So it makes sense that we have to really have a plan to sustain the city. And I can imagine that in our homes, in our own personal lives, if we didn't pay attention to our budgets and neglected for 20 years, we'd be in dire straits too. But I like to be more positive, and I do agree with Councilmember Aranda's statements. But I'd like to see of where can we be proactive and where can we get money, where can we find grants, where can we find money. Obviously, the second piece to this discussion tonight is the fee matrix that we're going to talk about. And once again, going into that, it's not that we're trying to make money, but it really is that you have to wrap your head around the fact that we are giving services away. When you can look at that and think about your own relationship to your workplace and your boss, those of us that are on salary, a lot of times, yeah, we do end up giving more than what we maybe get in return sometimes versus an hourly. So we have to really think from that perspective. And I think with our new city manager, Ms. Colick, I really give her kudos because she did look at some of those contracts that we had with outside agencies or services and really cut those out, streamlined, or basically just terminated those. And so there's a lot of moving pieces that we have to look at as council members sitting up here, also as residents, to pull together and how we're going to go forward with this. And it's not an easy task. So I'm just going to leave my comments right there for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Sabathia.
A lot of the thank you for your presentation, city manager. A lot of the conversations that you and I have had since even you were here as interim was dig in, understand, start cutting off the bleeding where and you've done a great job at that. So I appreciate you, first being in firefighting mode of, hey, let's stop our bleeding and really know where our spending is going, and then trying to put us on a path towards fiscal responsibility. The one question I had that stuck out there as I'm looking at all these charts, we showed peaks on several of your charts in 2018. At least two of your. Do you know what those peaks are attributed to? Peaks in revenue.
I'm gonna probably punt to Wendy, but I'm gonna take a stab and guess. If it was around 2018, it was probably housing development projects, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But I'll let Wendy chime in if she can.
Yeah, likely that is the housing development that we had that, excuse me, I'm going, bringing the slide back up. Yeah, it was a good year for us as far as, getting impact fee revenues. And we haven't seen that since.
Can we bring those slides back up?
It's slide number 9.
There's two slides. I think 9 was one, and I can't remember if it was 2 slides before or 2 slides after that one.
So it's a historical slide you're looking at. I'm assuming you're referencing the community development cost recovery challenges. And in 2018, we had was it Rancho Vista and Copperleaf come in? That provided us with a significant amount of impact revenue.
Yeah. So in this slide, we are in 2018 is nearly $500,000 above any other year from 2017 to 2027 over this 10-year span. Just wanted
Right.
to highlight that and make sure folks knew where that came from. And it was a one-time influx, but that does help fill coffers and balance budgets over years. But
But yeah, that balance, I mean, the funds, they're in their own little buckets, so like the library fund,
Yep.
civic fund, and little by little each fiscal year we'll tap into those funds as allowed to offset primarily capital improvement costs, such as the improvements in City Hall.
Yep. I think it's 11. That one? Yep. Not as drastic of a peak, but this one does still show a peak here. And I'm assuming the 5, 25, 26, 27, those peaks are grants for those projects.
So we're at Water Enterprise right now. So if you're looking at last year, well, we had an increase in our fees, and those fee increases while the project's been delayed are being retained within the fund balance for the usage towards the project.
So
If
that would
you-
account for 25 to 27, 25, 26, 27.
Correct. And if you look at 2018, again, same situation. We received quite a bit of impact fee revenue for the water fund during that period. I think it was like 9,000 per unit, something like that.
Yep. I mean, even when things are like, I appreciate what you're saying, Wendy. Some of these funds have earmarkers on them, but when those projects come up, those funds make a difference.
Correct.
All right. That was all the comments that I had. Remember, those two things really struck out at me. That
Sure.
and the sheriff's picture being grayed out. I noticed that.
I
It
thought
wasn't an accident.
I thought that was a fabulous photo.
One was in color and one was grayed out.
Yeah. It's effect. Affect. Are you good?
Yep.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Looking over the budget themselves, and phenomenal comments made by the council just on this overview. The very first graph in this packet is 26, 27. And well, it seems to be trending where we have revenue budgeted is far lower than expenditures. which is a little disconcerting. And without our next presentation, um, they're desperately needed. Community development is another one of those. I appreciate all the work that the city has done in bringing everything in-house. Initially, that was a struggle and monies were just leaving. Now with the way that staffing is, it's phenomenal. It's cohesive. It's less than what we were paying out for any of our contracts. And like Councilmember Aranda said, and as our city manager stated, having more of those contracts being looked at and bringing things in-house will certainly help out. We spend a lot of money in consultants, and this is a good way, excuse me, a good way to lessen that effect, bringing our contracts in-house. Thank you again for this. The work that you have done in the city in the year and a half that you have been here has been truly amazing, and I am very much looking forward to what comes next for the city, which is eyes on the city. With those comments, I am opening it up to public comment. Please be reminded that this is 3 minutes for your comments. City Clerk, take it away.
Madam Mayor, I have 3 speaker cards and 1 public comment that was dropped off this afternoon.
Okay.
So we can have our public comments in chambers first.
Okay, perfect.
And then via Zoom.
Thank you.
Carl Denny?
Hi, Kara, welcome. Is the green light on, big button pushed?
No.
Is the microphone on? Please sit by. Thank you very much. Hi, welcome.
Hi, it's Kara. Kara Denny. Yeah. I have several businesses in town, several that have closed recently. Daisy Saloon is the primary one. And then I had an office for Gateway Properties as well as Live in the Green Dream, which was right here on the corner. So I felt inclined to speak today on behalf of businesses. I also have a health and wellness studio in town. So I feel very inclined right now to speak on behalf of guidance about the city's priorities. And it's heavy on my heart because I feel like we're coming into some really hard times. I feel it. I'm hearing it from the collective. And I want to encourage the city to focus on water. 1. Water. So think about the basics we need in life. We need water to survive. The next is food. We're going to need food. They're going to need affordable food. The next being healthcare. They're going to need to know that their health is going to be provided for. And I'm going to say that when I look up on that chart, that's what I want that to be the 1, 2, and 3 be. Bottom line, that's about community. That's about providing for our communities. And health also includes mental health. It means providing things where the community feels that they're included and they're needed. And I feel like some of these problems that we have here in this community, if we were just to put them out to the community, there's so many people that'll be like, I'll put succulents in the wine barrels just to make people feel like, they're welcome here to town. I'll clean the gutters. I'll do this. I'll do that. There are so many people here that want to do things. They don't have that.
Thank you for your
feeling in
time.
life.
Your time is up.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Jesus.
Thank you.
I just got started. I didn't even hit on like 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Thank you.
Michael
I-
Ponce?
We'll go, you will have another round at this, at a chambers near us. Thank you.
I feel your pain, Cara.
It's Kara.
Kara.
It's Kara. Kara's on the other side of the room.
Okay,
Hi, Michael, welcome. You have 3 minutes.
here we go. So I can honestly say that I read this full packet, over 148 pages, and I hope everybody else here
131.
read it too. It took me all weekend. I have so much to say that I'm not gonna say in 3 minutes, but key points. From looking at all the different departments, my question is, does each department pay for itself? So in departments 17, wages are 71% of the budget. 10, it doubled. 11, it doubled. Building, 95% is wages. If you look into community development, it says that community development is paid through, it's funded through permits and fees and stuff like that. Unless you know something I don't know, there's not a whole lot of activity in that department going on that I can see that's gonna even come close to paying for that department. The number one thing I think that we need to do here in town is we got to build a general fund, because we're always going to have to dip into the general fund. How do we build the general fund? Sales tax, TOT tax, the miscellaneous taxes. And how do we do that? We get people here. We got to bring people to town. We got to get them to stay. We got to get them to spend some money, and that's going to build our sales tax, build our general fund. We're always going to be dipping into that general fund, as far as I can tell by looking at this budget. And if not, everything here in San Juan is always going to be divided by 2,000 people. We have the same problems that the big cities have, but they got hundreds of thousands of people dividing the cost. Right now, all our costs are divided by 2,020 people. That's just the reality of us. Unless we're going to do something drastic in the near future that I don't know about, that's the way I look at it. So building the general fund is key, and you need to reach out to the people. We got a lot of people here that have great ideas. Let's have a town hall meeting and discuss it, not 3 minutes at a city council meeting to try to discuss some of these ideas, because you never have enough time. Town hall meetings, let's do it. We got a lot of people with great ideas. Let's put all those ideas together and figure it out. We're here. We all want the same thing. We want San Juan to survive. It's looking real tough. And shame on past administrations for not taking care of it.
Thank you.
Mark, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, Mark,
Okay, thank
welcome.
you. So I wasn't going to speak until I heard Ashley mention like downtown rejuvenation, and that is awesome. And that's what we need. And so I appreciate that you recognize that. And I think that as a city, we should do that. We have empty buildings. We have a lot of businesses that are never opened. But when you mention that, I think that's just a great point. And I think that is so important for the community. And once we get downtown revived, then we're going to get tax revenue to support this thing that, to help hopefully support where you guys are short. But to get downtown revived is super important. And again, and I mentioned this a month ago, we have people come in for these events and then they leave and they come back the next weekend and there's like nothing's opened, and so there's this big disconnect between when we have events and then what the real downtown looks like. And so it's a good point, and thank you, and I support you 100%. Thanks.
Thank you.
2 more minutes.
Chris, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Welcome, Chris.
Good evening, everybody. When I was on the council, we left you this mess. Sorry.
Thank you.
Apologies.
We appreciate you.
So I wanted to touch on an item that I think is sorely needed, and that is a sinking fund for each of the revenue or each of the enterprise funds. Right now, you have no long-term plan that I'm aware of for replacement of the water and sewer systems as a whole. If you go to any large city, they're going to have a 75 to 100 year plan for replacement of all of that infrastructure. It's constructed as a sinking fund. You've got to do it. You have to do it because the impact fees that we all like to see when you build in, that's a buy-in for what's already been done. That does not carry forward, and it just ends up costing us way too much money in the long term. Anyway, and I think what the word that Kara was looking for, Kara, the blonde lady back there was looking for is vision. I think the community lacks vision, and I think the 5 of you up there we need you to provide a vision, an overarching vision for the community and the direction for the community. Hey,
Thank you.
I guess I got it right, but I felt that way for a long time, and I think it is a shortfall that certainly when I was on the city council, I just don't think we've provided that vision and that direction to inspire the community to provide the support that you talked about. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Freeman, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, John. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Council and City Manager, and thank you, City Manager, for the great presentation. I just wanted to talk a little bit about big subject budgets. I want to remind everyone there's 2 sides to a budget. There's expenses, which you guys have kind of been hashing over a little bit, and there's revenues. And the other thing we can do is increase revenues, and that can be done without raising taxes. We need to stimulate the hotels, the 2 hotels we have in the town. You notice the pie chart that she gave didn't have TOT taxes. If you go to almost any other city, go to Monterey where he lives, TOT is about 30% of the budget. So we really need to jump on that and increase our TOT tax. We need to somehow get people to come and visit, and I think the community can provide a lot of ideas to do that. And the other revenue increase, when I first got on the council many years ago, I saw this as a problem then. I saw a lack of revenue as a severe problem. And we put on a bill and it passed by 70%. It was about cannabis. Now it's been frustrated because the one landowner that's eligible is the landowner from you know where. You talked about it in closed session this evening that you didn't have, but you talked about it, you know, they're just the landowner from wherever. but I would suggest we rework the ordinance so we can have a dispensary in downtown. They have one in Moss Landing, that's small like us. They provide their own security services. And that also could bring in a considerable stream of income. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer Clark, you have 3 minutes.
Hi.
Good evening.
Hi, Jennifer,
Yeah, hi,
welcome.
Jennifer with the Hideaway. Do I need to push a button? Do I?
Nope, you're good. You're live.
Okay. So I am very excited about the idea of downtown revitalization. And so as a new business owner here, I'll tell you it's been very hard. I'd love to be open every day. The foot traffic here in town does not support that. So we'd be closing up very quickly if I tried to do that. So tourism is, a hot topic and getting more people downtown that don't live here, because this community of 2,000 people can only support us so much. And I will say this is a phenomenal community, more amazing than I would have ever had anticipated. So I really, really do enjoy being a business owner here. But I would also encourage you just to take a look at the current fee schedules and what is on the website and what you are collecting, because I recently downloaded the application, to renew my business license, and it still says that the sign up fee, permit fee is $75, which I know isn't correct. And I had that little go around too, and I did try to submit a sign permit fee. And I said, "What's the fee?" And the person in the office said, "I don't know." And I said, "Oh, if you don't know, who knows?"
We'll be going over that
So-
in the next
Okay,
topic.
yeah, but I just wonder, if you've got something like that happening at a small level, what are the other misses at the larger level that you have happening too? So
Good point.
when you're looking at all these increases, I mean, what are some of the low-hanging fruit that you're missing already that you've been missing over time? So just encourage you to take a look at that. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
We have no more speaker cards in chambers, Madam Mayor. And if anybody in Zoom wishes to make a public comment, please raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged. Madam Mayor, seeing no hands raised on Zoom, I do have a written public comment.
Go ahead. I've got you.
Rachel Ponce, 93 4th Street. I asked the City Council to include funds in their 2026 budget for walking parking spaces on 4th Street. Residents often experience their driveways blocked by careless drivers. One resident were, my apologies. One resident even had to put a sign asking their driveway not to be blocked. Residents on 4th Street experience increased traffic speeding and blocked driveways. All there is ongoing, not just driving city events. I would very much appreciate the city's help. Thank you, Rachel Ponce.
Thank you. Thank you for all the comments. Bringing it back to Councilmember Aranda.
From listening from everyone in chambers, thank you, everyone, for your feedback. I do like the idea of revitalizing the downtown district. That's just kind of something that's always been near and dear to my heart. It would be nice to see some more businesses, with an hourly schedule that are open on the main historic district side. I would like to see what's going on with essentially, the vacancy situation that we have. I could have swore we voted on an ordinance or something, and I'm not sure if it's being enforced, where if there's vacant buildings, if the building owners are being spoken to. So regardless, that's a different topic. I like the idea of doing the TOT. You know, how do we stimulate that? I'm not sure, but I know for fact that San Benito County and our neighboring areas have some of the best wine. And so how can we drive that? I know Murphy's used to be a nobody on the map, and now they're huge, and all they did was focus in on wine. And so it would be nice if somehow, if the city can get a grant, make an investment, bet on doing some tourism, some kind of tour where we incorporate our neighboring wineries, and then there's a package where we partner with some of our hotels in town, and that's a package, and that's how we're stimulating, you know, and revitalizing our downtown district. I don't know how we can do that, but maybe we can explore that with neighboring cities such as Murphy's. Other things too, that's, you know, I hate to bring this up. I feel like it's going to come at you guys sideways. But I felt like no one really talks about it. It's always kind of been shamed here in our community, and I might get some hatred about it. But one of the things that I'm just going to bring it up is, you know, I know San Juan is a small town, and we're here because it has that small town charm. But I think the whole, you know, no growth is really hurting us, and I want to be transparent about that. And you know, I'm not saying I want to see San Juan, this vision of it becoming a larger city, San Jose or anything like that. No one's talking about that. But we just brought it up today. You see a spike in impact fees when you grow, and there's more people, like a gentleman here in the audience had mentioned, we're able to support some more of our local businesses. We're able to generate more property tax, and we'll start to see some of this revenue come in that will help support the town. Um, Again, I don't know what that looks like. I'm not saying I'm all for blowing this place out of the water and growing it, but I think we need to be able to sit down and have a real true conversation about what growth in this town looks like, what smart planned growth looks like, and be able to sit down and discuss it, and how maybe I'm not saying we're doing it, but maybe we evaluate what those fees would look like, how that could help us. And so I think that would also help for future, you know, economic development, and also helping us pay down some of the deficit we're going to be in. So that's a hard conversation, and but I would like to actually be the one to say, yeah, let's see what that looks like. And other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels. Golly. Hi, John. How you doing? Sorry, Scott. Councilmember Friels.
Hey, we were 1 and 2 for the longest time. No, I appreciate the public input. It's nice to hear more than one person come up to the podium and speak.
Scott, sorry, can you move your thumb, please?
Oh, was it blocking my head? Okay. And I'm looking forward to seeing the product of the hard work on this new budget. I know they've been working hard at it, and it's going to be. I'm preparing myself for a tough budget, so I'm just looking forward to diving into it. But that's pretty much all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Morris Lopez.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, Jackie, I'm sorry. Hang on one second. Councilmember Friels, I'm sorry. You need to have your camera on at all times, being remote. Apologies for just catching that now.
Okay. All right. Thank you for everyone coming out tonight. And I really just want to hear what the public has to say. But, you know, I just want to remind everybody that our little town is not unique to this economic downturn. I drove, this is just an example. I drove on El Camino Real up at Stanford and headed south on it. And I could not believe how many businesses are closed on that strip. So this is not unique just to our small town. And I think the population I see the sign out there, maybe you fellow council members can attest to that. Is there like 2,800 people now? I keep seeing a sign that says 2,800, isn't it? No? Okay. Anyway, so yeah, we are small, For those of you that did not grow up here, like a lot of us in the chambers and Zooming, there was a difference between now and 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago. Maybe Michael might remember, Scott. We had a booming economy because I believe that before the two housing developments came in, we did have businesses here. Maybe that was 30 years ago. So that town shifted when that company left, Ideal Cement. It just changed the whole dynamics of this town. So we no longer are that town, but we still have the diamond in the rough. We still have the mission. We still have the state park. We have buildings downtown. I feel like there's ways that we can revitalize without throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And we are addressing that when it comes to things such as we'll touch on vacancy fees. And that's not penalizing the renters that are trying to put their shops in the actual brick and mortar. That's helping you guys out with your landlords, keeping up your buildings where you rent, maintaining them, because I don't think it's fair that the business owners that are running the businesses in these buildings are responsible for major repairs, anything like that. You should be able to run your business and not have to spend out of your pocketbook to fix a leaky roof or plumbing or any of that. And we need to kind of put some responsibility and accountability back on these business owners. And if you own a business and it's a tax write-off for you and you're like, so what? I don't need to rent it. I can just write it off with my accountant. But guess what? It hurts our dynamics downtown. It hurts the look. So there's things that we can do. And this is another thing that I'm going to challenge all of us sitting up here in the crowd, anyone listening, put your money where your mouth is. Go downtown once a week, twice a week, and shop, eat, drink. Because unless we support our local businesses, we have 2 new housing developments. Whoop-de-doo, we had a peak in 2018 with tax revenue. But what are they adding to the community? They need to come into town and shop. I need to go and eat. Not too much, but I need to kind of spread it out. And I employ everyone to do that because it's not just tourism is great, but we live here 24/7. We need to support our community. And part of that is going, shopping, drinking, eating, whatever you can do. Ice cream, find your niche, switch it up. So I feel like we can do this as a community. And I don't want to talk about growth because that's something really close and near and dear to me. But people love it here because of what we are. And we have the resources if we just put our heads together. We have the mission, we have the state park. We need to maybe hold people accountable more, brick and mortar owners, support our local businesses, our small businesses, keep them going, not just surviving, but thriving. That's what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Sabathia?
You said business owners a couple times, and I'm pretty sure you meant building owners.
About the upkeep?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you just were,
Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
I just want to make sure that,
Thank you for that
try to make sure
clarification.
you don't get mobbed on the way out to your car. A lot to unpack, but I guess my thoughts and feelings as we get into the budget, into later topics, are around. We've been doing a lot of, stopping the bleeding, firefighting over my 3.5 years sitting up here trying to deal with issues, and there has not been a lot of change that has happened. Like, if you go into a lot of credit card debt and you want to get out of it, you got to change how you spend. Like, there has to be some. Like, you can't keep doing that. Right. And it may hurt to stop your lavish spending or change the lifestyle, but until you do that, it doesn't change. And so people like it here, people love it here. We should keep a lot of what people like and love, but we got to do something drastically different in order to not be drowning. I think that's it. I mean, when we're talking about getting people to stop in and stop by, your target audience is folks like myself, right? Got a wife, 2 kids, trying to get out and get somewhere. We stop at we only have electric cars. We stop at that hotel in Santanilla. Nia? Nilla? Is it not in Spanish?
It is not the city of Santa Nella, but we don't need to debate that. Go ahead, keep going.
2 L's in Spanish?
Yeah.
I'll go there. I'm gonna stop myself. I'm gonna keep going. Get so bad. When we stop there, right? We purposely stop there. There are chargers all up and down 5. We purposely stop there because there are things for the children to do. There's things for us to do. That hotel has done a lot of work to make sure their restaurant is open, their bathrooms are open and clean. There's a lot for them to for people to see. I mean, you get the walk, and it's beautiful in there. Walking around just that main square that's there, you can get the whole history of that hotel just walking that big quad. And we spend money we don't even really want to there because we're there, we're charging, and we're here. I'll say what hurts. If I had to stop and charge, I'm not stopping at the windmill. There's nothing for me and my kids and my family to do. So, I mean, we need to change that. I would love to be able to stop. I mean, other than people could stop and you got to walk to Vertigo. I'm not a coffee drinker, but they do have beer there, so I'm good with that. I mean, but there's things that these other small pockets of California have done. We need to start adopting a lot of what they have done to, to help us.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you for coming up who spoke. Some of you are not used to it, and to have the courage to come up here and voice your opinions on what our city, your city, my city needs is amazing. I just want to say that we have all voiced our opinions on how we think things should move forward and what we need to move forward and what we need to thrive and survive. Our city manager, who has been here a year and a half, has called almost, if not everything, out in this document that we are just seeing for the first time as a first pass. And I appreciate that you have, for your limited time here, noticed the same things that is being talked about this evening. TOT taxes, there's lots of entities that are working for it. And I just want to give a shout out to San Juan Bautista, who have Airbnbs or hotels or whatever they do for rentals. San Juan Bautista was the first to buy in on the countywide suggested TOT. That hasn't gone through yet because other jurisdictions have not. Tourism, which is something that is called out in this budget, the county is working on a countywide tourism. The Board of Supervisors went from economic development to tourism. They're focusing on the pinnacles, and when people go to the pinnacles, what do we have here to keep them here or bring them back after they go to the pinnacles? So there are tourism meetings. There's one tomorrow, 2:00 maybe, at the county offices. This document talks about vacant buildings and building owners and what can we do to focus more on the downtown and bring that fiscal sustainability to our community. And there is a lot to be done. More than half of our buildings are vacant, and that's a shame. It's a shame to all of our business owners who are out here. So we'll be looking at things like that. There were a couple of other things, but this is just a first pass, and I really appreciate everybody coming out here, and I super appreciate the city manager, who hasn't spoken to any of us before putting all of this document together, who is seeing exactly what we're seeing and knows exactly what we're talking about. And I appreciate that we have this opportunity today to start moving forward tomorrow. So this will be coming back. We have to pass the budget July, first meeting in July,
We have to pass a budget by the end of June
by the
in
end,
order for it to be adopted July 1. So the budget has
understood.
got to be passed in June.
Okay.
We are a little bit behind schedule. So we are going to revisit this at our June 16th meeting. So we'll have a first pass with some recommendations on balancing the budget and how we can get there. And thank you so much for all the feedback comments today. I think that's going to go a long way in helping staff kind of relook at everything. So we will bring it back on the 16th for further discussion. If we need more time, then we will have an opportunity on June 30th. If we need another pass. It's a lot of things happening. But yes, we can absolutely bring it back.
Early in the
If we
morning on the
did.
30th? Just kidding.
I'm so sorry, guys. I know, but we need you. But thank you for the feedback. And I appreciate Kara's comments. Did I get it right?
Kara.
Dang it. No, it's not okay. I am going to get it right. I promise you. But I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate everyone's comments today. Heard, received, and we'll keep working at it.
Yeah, and again, you have done an amazing job capturing all of this. And it's just a preliminary document. Okay, thank you all very much. On to the next item, the comprehensive user fee study. City manager, you need a glass of water?
No.
You go for it then.
I was moving very slow and methodically today, so I do not need water. We're gonna do, I'm gonna have Kushbu. I'm not gonna do a grand introduction today. We've gone over and over the fees. I talked a lot about why the comprehensive fee study was important. So I'm gonna let Kushbu kind of go over some edits based on the feedback from our last meeting. So we will continue that discussion today, and then the plan is to bring the fees back for adoption in June.
Thank you. Hi, Kushbu, welcome back.
Good evening, everyone. Great to be back. So like Ashley mentioned, we won't go through the whole motion again of discussing kind of what a fee study is, why to do a fee study. But just a quick recap for those who couldn't join in last time. The city hasn't really done this type of comprehensive analysis essentially in over 20 years. So it's been a long time since the city's looked at these fees. The purpose of a fee study is to be good fiscal stewards. In the state of California, there are several propositions and rules and regulations that govern what you can and can't charge for fees. And so really the purpose of the fee study is to make sure that the city is in compliance with that and that we're appropriately calculating what the full cost of the service is and then making those decisions, policy decisions transparently based on that information. So we worked with staff based on the feedback we heard from the public and the council last time. And as individuals had previously called out that the original proposed fee schedule was to be at full cost recovery for the city for all line items. The concept being, again, the goal of these are individualistic services that are generally benefiting those who are pulling these permits or participating in these applications, so they should bear the full cost of the service. However, there are reasons, as individuals expressed in the last meeting, as council members brought up, that that there are certain benefits also to the community for some of these areas. So the new proposed fee schedule that got put in the packet for you all tonight, you'll notice that there's a couple of yellow highlights in there. And those are for areas where, based on the input and the feedback, staff is recommending a lower fee amount than what's been calculated. And ultimately, again, it's up to council to, accept that, make additional changes, decide to lower it further. But based on the feedback we heard, that those are the areas. So things like appeals, it would still remain a deposit, but instead of it, being a deposit at $7,000, kind of lowering it to $1,000. So that would still be double the current deposit amount, but it would be less barrier of an entry, more in alignment with some of the comparable jurisdictions. For historic resources review, again, being a very historic based town, taking that into consideration, again, the initial deposits were lowered from what was calculated, so that again, it would reduce that barrier to entry. It is still a deposit, which is, basically implies that you would ultimately still pay the full cost of the service. So for the actual staff time and materials incurred, but the initial deposit that you have to put down is not as large as what's been calculated as the bare minimum level of effort needed for the analysis. The rest of the fees are more on the recreation side of things. So I know baseball field rental got brought up as an area in the past. So reducing that from kind of the $49 per hour calculated to half of that to roughly $25 per hour, a pretty standard amount for renting it. Again, this is more for private use. A lot of times jurisdictions will come up with policies if, they have co-sponsored groups or youth leagues playing at the fields that they would rent the field to them at a much cheaper rate than what's published on the fee schedule. The fee schedule rate is usually more for private entities. So if I'm renting the baseball field for a birthday party, I'm going to pay this rate versus, if I have little league practice. The yard sale permit, again, we heard was an area of concern. So not being set at that full cost, it's being set again at a reduced rate. So doubling from the current fee, but still less than the full cost. And then dog license fees, similarly, right now, again, the fees are really low, not being proposed to be set at that full cost. And that seeing eye guide dog fee, even though there is a cost associated with processing that license, based on feedback from council, kind of keeping that policy decision to continue to not charge for that, but then charge reduced amounts. You'll see that the spayed neutered amount is less than the unspayed neutered, non-neutered amount. And that's because, again, in most jurisdictions, you'll see a price differential as generally you want to encourage individuals to get their pets to be spayed and neutered. And that's why the dog license fee is a little bit higher, closer to the full cost recovery for the unspayed, non-neutered. And then the last set was in relation to the community hall rentals. We fixed the notation about the city resident / county resident, making it confusing because if you're not a city resident, if you're a county resident, you're technically still a non-resident. So we removed that notation, fixed that, and again, reduced that amount from the full cost, left the non-resident at the full cost amount because, again, they're not a resident, they're not paying the taxpayer money to subsidize. And then the local city and county nonprofits being proposed at a much lower rate than the full cost still, but not at the $0 that the city is currently collecting for those local city and county nonprofits. So those are just some recommendations based on what we heard back in the previous meeting about areas of concern, areas that we felt like made sense for purposes of community benefit and policy, where it made sense to reduce those fees from the full cost of the service. But yeah, that's kind of a summary of what's happened since our last meeting last week. And I'll open it up to your guys' questions.
Thank you for that. Opening to the council member Aranda.
No, thank you for the presentation. It looks like you guys addressed a lot of good concerns. I don't have any questions or comments at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels.
Thank you. Thank you for addressing concerns. I know a few people were pretty upset with them. One of the things that Councilmember Morse Lopez pointed out at the last meeting, that there is a section in the study that says we can revisit some of these fees later on. And I'm glad, thank you, Jackie, for pointing that out, because you helped me make some decisions here. With that, I'm good with moving this fee schedule forward. But that being said, I'd like to maybe November, maybe look at it again, and because I'm sure by then we can have a chance to absorb the 200 and some odd lines, and just take a look at it again and see if that's really what we want, or if some of this stuff is small town friendly or not. But like I said, I'm all for moving this forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Morris Lopez.
Yes, thank you for the redo on the issues that we were really concerned about, the public and us on the dais as well. I think I'm going to defer more of my comments until I hear from the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Sabathia.
Thank you, staff and Kushra, for being patient with all of us as we digest this. The one thing I didn't find in review of this, I know people were not in favor of 100% cost recovery. Where do these adjustments land us in terms of percentage cost recovery? I just didn't see that statement. Maybe I missed it.
Are you able to answer that?
Yeah, it's different cost recovery amounts for each individual fee. So I can
On average?
Yeah, let me give you a quick average. Just give me 1 second.
They should have warned you you were dealing with an engineer. They set you up. I mean, while you're looking for that, I mean, I think I'd be comfortable with anything over 90% in general. It still puts us in a slower burn, but a 90% less slower burn. And so I've been comfortable with this from the get-go. The things that were drastically changed, talking about the deposits for certain things, that am I correct in assuming like if it comes back and it took like we reduced the deposit from 7,000 to 1,000, if the work by staff came back and took actually $7,000 worth of work, that deposit would turn into, hey, we need to collect on the rest instead of us just
It's the
eating.
collect as you go system.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm good with this. That's what I assumed. Who's got the Jeopardy thing?
I am really close to giving you the answer. It's just there's a couple of
No
weird
worries.
fees that are causing the percentage to not be correct. I want to give you the right number.
Data's all about how you analyze it, right?
Yeah, so it looks like it's on average going to reduce it to about 95%. So it's not a huge impact.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. I too am comfortable and have been comfortable with this from the get-go. I appreciate the third, fourth pass on this and am very much looking forward to moving it forward. Questions, comments, concerns, speaker cards?
Madam Mayor, we have 5 speaker cards in chambers. Chris Martorana, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, Chris. Welcome.
Hi, guys. I made a number of comments at the previous meeting. I'm not going to repeat myself here. I'm sure you're happy about that. I would love to see more information about what a lot of these are, because they're not very clear. And I obviously that's not going to happen in time for you guys to pass it. What I'm suggesting is that there's a lot of stuff here that is not obvious, where there's some overlap and duplication potentially. And so some explanatory or case study sorts of things that we can give people from, particularly with the building and planning fees that are going up. There's some pretty dramatic changes, and it's a little scary looking because the sticker shock is pretty dramatic. But so just I as a planning commissioner, I'm concerned that we're going to get a huge number of questions that we're going to have trouble answering because we can't necessarily give detailed explanations for this. So that would be just a request of staff to work on some just supporting documentation for it. But I'll make some specific comments in writing later that address some individual concerns that I have. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
John Freeman, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Welcome, John.
Thank you. Good evening, I'm here to speak about one particular item, but before I get off into that subject, I'd like to say, I think to Ashley and to the council, thank you for hiring a really great planning department. We haven't had that since Matt Orbach left back in 2017. The people in between that and now have been, oh, never mind. Okay, so getting to the real subject, I know a lot of work went into it. I'm sure Matrix Consulting did a great job, and I'm really good with all the planning stuff. I think that's appropriate. I will remind you that back in, once again, in 2017, we had an interim city manager named Ed Tweez, and he asked, well, at least he asked me if he could raise the fees by himself. He has the authority to do that under some law. You can do it to the CPI according to the Builders Index in San Jose or some fancy thing like that. And he did it. So because we knew, like you found out, that the fee schedule was really lacking. So that was like a 12% raise back in 2017. And I don't think it has been done since. So there's been a lot of price increases since then, as everybody knows. Oh, I have a minute and a half. Okay, getting to the real subject, which is the nonprofit fee use for the community center. It's now 0, and I'd like it to remain 0. And I'll give you a good example. Twice a week, for mature people, there's a chair yoga. And I think it's run by the YMCA, which is a local nonprofit. So if you had to charge them $400 because it's twice a week, 2 times, there's only 15 people there. And I'll tell you, all 15 people, according to my wife, are San Juan residents. She knows them all. And you'd have to, that would make it impossible to do, completely impossible to do. So I would like to remain that to 0. The other increases can cover that. And I had the 30 seconds, okay? Last week, I rented the community center out for a local nonprofit. And so I know how much work went into it. It was 2 phone calls to Carmen and 2 emails. And the second email was because I forgot to get a certificate of insurance. I got that. And so even though we didn't pay any money, it was a great success, a community event on a Thursday night when no one uses it. And the community hall works better, a lot better than it used to. One of the things I'm proud of is before never mind.
Thank you, John.
The acoustics were horrible and it got fixed.
Thank you.
Michael Ponce, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, Michael. Welcome.
Okay, so the fee study suggests raising many fees 100, 200, 300%, and some much, much higher. Is this responsible and reasonable? Yes, rates haven't been raised in many years. We all know that. I'm for raising rates, but not this hard hit all of a sudden. Maybe we can raise the rates like we did with sewer and water. You know, a 5-year, 1-year increments, 15, 20, 30%, whatever the percentage is, you guys figure that out. I think raising these rates so quickly and so much, it might even slow down the activity that's going to pay for these. Again, we're getting back to the general fund subsidizing some of these fees. Again, I think it's key to work on increasing the general fund. The downtown is our heart and soul. We need to get people here. Again, like I said before, keep them here, have them spend money, focus on the downtown. Right now, the city's focus on the downtown stated as reaching out to the Urban Land Institute and the Techno Assistant Panel TAP programs. Is that a good idea? I'm not too sure that is. I'm an advocate for town hall meetings. Get San Juan people together and talk about it. We can't talk about it here in 3 minutes. It can be done. And then, you know, you guys listen to us for 3 minutes and then you make a decision and then it's written law. I mean, don't you want to engage the community? That's what I keep hearing. That's what I keep reading. Engage the community, community vitality. That means bring it back to life. We're not dead. We're alive. We have ideas. We know what we want. We know, there's plenty of ideas out there. I'm not saying that all the ideas are the right ideas, but let's put them all together and pick a few real good ones. Just to let one entity make the decision on how we think we need to go forward, I don't think that's right. I think the community should have opportunity to hear, to really hear, not in the limited 3 minutes time that we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kara Denny?
Hey, Carol, welcome.
Hi, thank you. You know what? I want to acknowledge your time here tonight. So thank you. So I'm gonna work off my notes. So one, events. Events bring people to town and it brings money. It brings money to businesses. Whether they like it or not, I've had a shop. I've had all the gamut of businesses in this town. I'm going to keep an eye on my time because I have a minute to talk on each thing. But what I can tell you right now is I like Michael's idea about the incremental like shifting of the fees. So it's not like a shocker. But I can tell you right now, when I had my shop, 2 weeks after we had rib cook-off or arts and craft, we saw a spike in sales for those 2 weeks because people are like, oh my God, this town is so cute. We're coming back. Okay, daisies. Yeah, we're off the hook. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I will not be open on Mother's Day next year if you have rib cook-off. I'm a mother. I want to spend it with my children. Do not approve rib cook-off on Mother's Day, please. Okay, that's it. Next, the dog fee. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many people have dogs here in town? They do not have permits for their dogs. Sorry, not sorry, but they do not have, and like that's just dumb. We don't even have an SPCA or I called somebody because we had a dog issue here. They're like, I don't know what to tell you. No, there's no dog fee. I'm sorry. That just bull BS. Oh, there was another thing I wanted to talk about, but I'm trying to be like super chill today after the last one. You know, it's just, we got to keep everything chill on the businesses. Like, this stuff is going to get real. It's going to get real quick. And it's going to get real this summer. And then into fall and Christmas, it's going to get real. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to get super emotional about it, but businesses are going to fail. The vacancies in town, they are going to continue. Things are going to keep closing. We're going to have a shutdown on our, I'm sorry, I wish it wasn't going to happen, but it is. And that goes back to my first comment, food, water, food, health, community. We need to be a community. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Kara Vonk, you have 3 minutes.
Hey, Carol, welcome. Kara. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's confusing.
I'm kidding.
And she's my neighbor. I have gotten her mail. Okay. Let's see how to begin. I understand that we need to increase some of the fees. No problem there. It's just how much and which ones. It seems you're relying strictly on fees for services to balance the budget. And those fees are on us, the people who live here, the 2,200 people. Or however many it is. So I want to get back, I talked about this last time, the historic resources review. Now I understand you don't have to pay the full cost up front. You only have to pay a deposit, but then by the end, you've got to pay the full cost. As I indicated, people who own historic homes are now being penalized for owning a historic home because have all of these additional expenses, which I can go into. And you're talking about revitalizing the downtown and getting people who have these old buildings to fix them up. Well, they're not going to do it. First, they've got to get an evaluation from an architectural historian. Talked about that. I paid $1,500. I understand Rincon, our consultant, is charging $2,500. That's off the bat. Let's say it's historic. And let's say you just want an administrative review, you want to change the roof, that's $4,067. If it's more like a little addition, which we did, so it has to go to the HRB and the Planning Commission, which ours did, $7,000. You know, that's, and that's, so, and plus the 2,500, how much is that already upfront? And then you need to submit your plans and you have to pay all of the building fees and all of that. So people who own historic homes are being totally penalized as opposed to somebody who just owns a regular house. And I don't think that's fair. And you're trying to encourage people to fix their historic places. This is not going to happen. People are not going to pay this kind of money and they're not going to do anything. Okay, community hall. I participate in the chair yoga. You know, I'm almost 80 years old. There are a lot of people there who need the exercises. And it's got to be free or almost nothing, you know, or it's not going to happen. And these are the seniors in our community. Community hall was the word community. It was built for the community to use. And now we're aced out because of these fees. Okay, I'm getting pretty emotional. Sorry about that. I didn't have a chance to look at the revised one, so apparently you dealt with appeals. Darn it. I only got.
Thank you for your
three.
time.
Thank you.
All right.
Mayor, we have, that's the end of the speaker cards, and I'm seeing no hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you. Back to the council. Councilmember Aranda.
No, thank you again for all the comments. Question to staff, sorry. And again, I've been out for one of the sessions. Did we ever have a workshop, a public workshop where we invited you know, the public to come in and we could kind of sit down and talk about all this rather than the 3 minutes? Like, well, you know, apologies if I wasn't there. If I
I'm
missed
sorry, are you talking specifically for the fee schedule?
for the fee schedule.
No, we've only had public hearings at
Got it.
council level.
Are we able to do that? Because I think that's actually a really good point. I mean to have just 3 minutes just to bring up your thoughts and ideas and then we just move on. You know, I don't like that. I feel like this should be there should be a workshop involved. I don't know. That's just my comments to the council. Other than that, I would like to see that, you know, some kind of workshop. I know maybe we won't get that much of a turnout, but at least we can say we tried and we're trans.
Like respectfully,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
this is a public discussion and we are receiving public comment. And I don't want to negate anything that's happening with the audience because they showed up here tonight to
Okay.
give their input, whether it's 3 minutes or an hour. They are giving their input and we have received it. We've met 3 times regarding this already. We were supposed to have a meeting on May 12th. We didn't have that meeting because we lacked quorum.
Yeah.
But at some point, I would urge the council to make a decision because we do have to move forward.
Sorry, my understanding was a workshop. God, I don't even know if I'm thinking of this wrong. I could have swore a workshop was either at the library with a bunch of tables. It's around, and we're kind of going back, and there's
That wasn't specifically for the fee schedule.
Yeah, is there something we can do about that? Because I think it's right. I mean, these people are showed up, but they only have 3 minutes, and they're being cut off, and we're not getting to hear the whole story. And I mean, this is going to affect them. And I get it. I'm all for moving this forward and making sure that, we're not bleeding money. But respectfully, I want to hear what the public has to say. That's why they showed up. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents from me.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels.
Thank you. I don't have anything further.
Thank you. Councilmember Morris Lopez.
Yes, once again, thank you to the public for showing up, and I listened to your comments. So now I'm gonna give some more of my comments, actually questions. So I just want to also address Ms. Cara Vonk's comments about the appearance that people that own historic homes or buildings, one can look at that and say, yeah, it looks like we're going to get penalized going and coming. But I think how I'm reading this, and the lady, I'm sorry, Kishbu, Miss Engel, you can correct me if I'm mistaken, but looking at the amended fees, there's 3 columns on each item, and I'm going to focus on the historic resources review. Originally, it said the total cost, this is a new fee. So I'm assuming new meaning we didn't charge before. Is that what that means? Ms. Engel?
Correct, yes.
So we weren't collecting anything, even though we were doing the work from the city standpoint. We were hiring or working with contracted historic architects, et cetera. Is that correct?
I believe so. I'll defer to city planning staff if they were charging any sort of actual cost, but technically, it's not an actual fee that exists currently on your fee schedule.
Okay, so we weren't collecting fees when it says new on administrative. The commission, I'm assuming the planning commission or the HRB, if something went before them. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then also the evaluation, that means someone actually going out there with expertise. I'm assuming code enforcement, but maybe more like architect specializing in historic buildings, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so then we move over to the second column, and that's the actual cost. And so for those 3 items for administrative, there's a $4,067 actual cost. But I think to address Ms. Vonk's concern, and anyone else that's listening that has a historic home, we actually now have dropped that down to 1,500, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and then the second item, which is 7,000 for the commission review, now it's dropped down 2,000 less to 5,000. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and then evaluation, it says business license fee. Let's see, deposit, new, and then actual cost, user fee. So can you tell me what exactly would be the amount of that, of the evaluation? Is that because we're using, or the homeowner or property owner is using an outside consultant, historical architecture firm, so we can't really predict what that cost will be?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and the money, and the city does not tap into any of that fee, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it has gone down a little bit, Ms. Vonk, but I'm sorry, 7,000 to 5,000, still a lot of money, but I just wanted to point that out. But we do have that clause in the document where we can actually review the fees, and we can determine whether or not we are going to adjust those, just so people can know that that's an option we have as a city council. And then also for the baseball field rental, I don't like the per hour charge. Can we just charge a flat fee? And I feel that anybody that is going to rent any of our facilities or use our facilities, I like them to be at minimum cost to free. Community center, I agree with Mr. Freeman, our former council member, and also anyone else that brought this up. Um, I don't think we should be charging our local nonprofits, much less seniors that want to go out and exercise, or maybe a 12-step meeting. I don't know if they have in their bylaws, they have to give a donation, but anybody that is local, meaning any nonprofit that has the paperwork that says they're a 5013C nonprofit from San Juan, I don't want to charge them. Now, if you're coming from the county or the city of Hollister, yeah, let's charge them. Maybe a lesser fee than a private citizen that's having an example. I'm not trying to be biased, but a wedding shower, a quinceañera, a bachelor party, a whatever 75th birthday party, then we charge them the appropriate fees. But for local nonprofit, meaning in the city of San Juan, I'd like to see a fee waived. And that's my strong feeling on that. Dog licenses, I agree with Miss Kara Denny. I hope I said that right. I see a lot of doggies around, and me being a cat owner, I'm like, and my cats are spayed and neutered, and I see a lot of doggies around town. So yeah, I think they need to be charged a fee, right? Responsibility. Okay. And then yeah, these fees are, it's a hard swallow. It's ripping off a Band-Aid, but hey, we have not adjusted our fees for many, many years. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think we have a way that we can determine whether or not we're going to make adjustments. It's in our document. Thank you.
Thank you. Sabathia.
Just wanted to acknowledge that I have heard what people have said. Looking at those two charts, right? It's a staggering difference of services the city provides versus revenue we bring in to cover it. And it's been decades of us not doing this. So thanks again to staff and Kushbu for putting this together and bringing us data that we could analyze.
Thank you. You good back there? I don't know, something fell. A couple of things. Someone mentioned that the fees weren't very obvious, and are they not based on code? A sign fee, a whatever, they're all based on city ordinances.
There are some fees are yes. And then the analysis portion is what is the actual staff time, right? Then all the work that goes into every single, but a lot of it, and a lot of the building and planning codes, our fee schedule was because it's so old and outdated, a lot of times they weren't publicized fees. So people would come in and pull a permit and they'd be confused and staff would be confused because, oh yes, wait a second, per state code, you have this fee, and this fee versus now everything is in one place so that nothing is hidden. No gotchas.
Thank you for that. TAP was mentioned, a new entity coming in to make a decision for us. I'm not sure that's actually what TAP is. TAP is bringing new ideas to a city that has been slowly going downhill, and they will not make a decision for us. They will help us in moving forward. Is that correct? A fair statement?
It's an analysis from professionals whose job it is to look at a town, under neutrality. But that decision, I'm not sure has been decided by the council.
I'm not sure it has
think
either.
the council would like a presentation and that was kind of where we left it. So I don't think we should get ahead of ourselves. That's
Right.
an idea that was put forth, but not finished.
Thank you for that explanation. That's all I have also. Thank you so much to Kushbu and Matrix for preparing this and for presenting it 3 times out of 4. The meeting that was canceled was more of a was specifically for that. But due to lack of quorum, we missed out on that one. I appreciate everybody coming in and once again throwing their comments forward. You have been heard, and you will be heard again. The council has every opportunity to change this. The community has every opportunity to ask for it. That's all I have. Thank you very much for bringing this forward again. For final remarks and direction on this, we had discussed, thank you all for coming. We had discussed bringing this back in June
Correct.
As
June
a-
16.
as a final document,
Yes.
and fees don't go into effect until 90 days.
I believe it's 30 days, and
30
Kushbu
days.
would have to correct me on that.
For
30 days.
development related fees, you have a 60-day waiting period. For all other fees, it's typically 30 days.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. So we bring it back in June and then it gets, that's not the final decision though. Isn't the final decision August? There was, sorry, confusion on my part on the
okay.
dates.
We would bring it back in June.
Mm-hmm.
If approved in June, some of the fees would go into effect in 30 days. Development fees would go into effect in 60 days. So but my thought, just because I'm thinking out loud, none of these fees would really truly go into effect until August to give everyone a time to adjust. So these wouldn't go into effect July 1, they would go
Okay.
August 1.
If anybody needs a dog license before July 1st, get it now. It's only $10. Thank you all very much. Our next regular, we are bringing it back in June.
Correct.
Thank you. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June 16th. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second, right?
Thank you. Motion to adjourn by Mayor Pro Tem Sabathia, seconded by Councilmember Aranda. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aranda? Excuse me, we're still in a meeting and we haven't concluded. If you can be, thank you very much. Councilmember Aranda?
Yes.
Councilmember Frios?
Yes.
Councilmember Morris Lopez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sabathia?
Yes.
Mayor Jordan?
Yes. Thank you. Feel better, Scott?
Thank you.